All right, so if you've ever needed a new website for your business, you totally know the drill. You get a couple of quotes, you open them up, and your brain just snaps right into comparison mode. But what if I told you that that one instinct is the biggest mistake you can make? Well, we're about to completely change how you look at website proposals. Forever.
Okay, so just picture it. You've got two PDFs sitting right there in your inbox. You open them up side by side. What is the very first thing you do? Almost without thinking, before you've even read a single word of strategy. Yep, you know it's true. Your eyes just dart down the page. You fly past the introductions, the timelines, everything, right to the bottom line, that little dollar sign. And hey, that is a completely normal reaction. We all do it. But that exact moment, that's where a really smart business decision can quietly turn into a very expensive mistake. Because that number, when you look at it all by itself, tells you almost nothing about the value you're actually going to get. So, here's the core issue. Comparing prices only really works when you're comparing identical things, right? Apples to apples. But with website quotes, you are almost never comparing the same solution, even when the proposals look nearly identical on the surface. I mean, both proposals could say 5-page website. Sounds the same, doesn't it? But it's not. One is basically just a digital brochure. It looks nice, it sits there, and that's it. The other one, though, is a strategic tool. It's engineered from the ground up to attract visitors, to build trust, and to actually generate leads. They are not the same product, not even close. So if we can't start with price, where do we start? Well, we start by asking much better questions. We need a framework that helps us get beyond just counting pages and instead focuses on what actually drives business growth. First question, and it's a big one. Does the proposal explain the strategic reasoning behind what they're recommending? You see, you're not just buying a list of pages. You're buying a strategic blueprint. The why is everything. A weak proposal just gives you a boring list of pages, home, about, services. But a strong one, it explains why those pages exist. For instance, it'll explain that creating individual service pages isn't just for looking organized, it's a strategy so Google can find and rank each of your services separately. That makes you way more visible to the right customers. Just let that one sink in for a second. It completely reframes the whole purchase, doesn't it? The pages are just the container. What you're truly investing in is the ability for your business to be seen, to be understood, and to have a platform that can actually grow with you. Okay, next crucial question. A website that gets traffic but doesn't get you any customers? Well, that's really just a hobby, not a business asset. So you have to ask, how specifically is this site designed to turn a curious visitor into an actual lead or a sale? Anyone can write strong calls to action in a proposal. It's meaningless fluff. A truly strategic proposal gets into the how. Using headlines that talk about the customer's desired outcome, placing testimonials exactly where they'll have the most impact, and structuring the content to answer questions before people even think to ask them. And here's the most important point. Getting a visitor to take action. That is the result of deliberate, careful design. It is a science. And if that strategic thinking isn't clearly outlined in the proposal, I promise you it's not going to magically appear in the final website. Oh, this one is huge. The most beautifully designed, most persuasive website in the entire world is completely useless if nobody can find it. So the proposal absolutely must outline a clear plan for how your potential customers are going to discover you on search engines. The SEO optimized is maybe the most overused and empty promise in the whole industry. It means nothing without a real plan. A real strategy talks about architecture, building dedicated pages for each service and location with a smart linking structure that tells Google you're an authority on what you do. You see, you can't just add SEO on at the end. It's not like sprinkles on a cupcake. The ability for your site to rank on Google is baked into its very foundation, its structure. And a site built on a weak foundation will always struggle to be seen. Okay, so now we have to look beyond the website itself. Some of the most critical factors in this whole decision have nothing to do with design or code, but they have everything to do with your long-term freedom and control as a business owner. This right here is your power checklist. You need to ask these questions directly because the answers determine your freedom. Questions about who owns the domain, if you get full admin access, or what happens if you want to switch providers. These aren't just technical details. They define whether you're building an asset or getting locked into a trap. And this is the fundamental difference right here. You want to be buying a business asset, a tool that you own, that you control. What you want to avoid is creating a dependency, where your website, your digital storefront, is basically held hostage by a single provider. The goal is empowerment, not entrapment. So after you ask all these questions, it becomes crystal clear that the decision you're making is so much bigger than just picking a vendor. The colors, the fonts, the logo, honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's what you see on the surface. But the real value, the part that actually determines success or failure, is happening way down below. This is the reality of it. You are choosing a strategic direction for your entire business. One path gets you a simple online presence. The other path builds you an engine for visibility, for conversion, and for real sustainable growth. And that's the ultimate takeaway. Of course, price matters, but a price tag without the strategic context around it, it's just noise. It's a distraction from the real decision. So don't compare the numbers, compare the thinking, compare the strategy, and compare the potential. Choose the partner who is designing a future for your business, not just a website.